we open in a word of prayer. Lord, we thank you for continuously inviting us to know you more, to experience you more. And for every day that we experience with you, we recognize that it's you who strengthens us, gives us what we need. Wisdom, discernment, Lord. We ask that today. As we study your word, would you allow us to encounter you? Open our hearts, our minds, so that we would be keen to follow your words. So we pray in Jesus' name. Privilege and blessing for me to share the Word of God this morning. Thank you for the administrative committee for assigning me this morning. It's also humbling to know that Pastor Ryan came before, and then also our speaker for tomorrow will be sandwiching me. But let me share also from God's Word. God has loved us and He has chosen us unconditionally. That's what we could put as a capsule from tomorrow's, from yesterday's message. And what a privileged position that we have as God's possession. We are His precious possession. And so the question for us is, how do we live our life reference to that? By 536 BC, when the Jews returned from the 70-year Babylonian exile back to their land, they experienced a fresh start. Not only were they to reclaim their national and ethnic identity, but more importantly, they were being restored spiritually as God's covenant people. And this is a fulfillment of the prophecy in Jeremiah 29:10. They were able to return to the land in batches, and they started building the temple in Jerusalem under royal decree of Cyrus. Find that in Ezra 1. And they were starting anew. Yet as they returned, there were many hard realities that they would experience. Of course, the task of rebuilding infrastructure was a given. They had faced resistance and opposition from neighboring peoples. And so for several years, the rebuilding of the temple stopped. And it took some time for the people to resume the work. Now the spiritual dimension of the people's restoration played the most crucial role. Their commitment to Yahweh and to the Torah, or the Word, was key to their restoration as His people from the inside out. Yes, they have returned to the land, yet more important is that they return to God Himself. And today let me share from another minor prophet, a generation before Malachi, in the post-exilic period, from the book of Zechariah. So if you open your Bibles, please turn to Zechariah chapter 7. Like the rest of the prophets, Zechariah called people, God's people, back to Himself. He called people to return to God. From chapters 1 to 6, yun yung tema ni Zechariah. Chapter 1, he gives a general call for God's people to return to Him. And from the following chapters up to chapter 6, Zechariah relates night visions that if you read them, medyo bizarre, you could not imagine how he must have visualized them in his dreams or as he saw them. But these visions were to rally the people, to encourage their leaders such as Zerubbabel and Joshua towards seeing the temple's completion. It was encouraging the Jews to continue to depend upon God. And as the Jews were encouraged to finish the rebuilding of the temple, this passage, chapter 7, speaks of transformation in the lives of people and the re-established Jewish society. Verse 1 reads, "In the 4th year of King Darius, on the 4th day, in the 9th month," and that is Kislev, the word of the Lord came to Zechariah. David Peterson comments on this, in that the mention of Darius as king reminds the people of Judah that they do not live anymore under the same conditions before the exile. They did not live under the monarchy in the line of David, but rather, they were to accept the reality that they were being ruled already by a foreign king, King Darius. And this oriented them towards a more religious, spiritual disposition of their faith, rather than seeing themselves as a national theocracy. And at this point, the Jews understood the significant difference of their humble condition compared to their state when they were in their golden years, in the distant glorious past. And so we read here that there were people from Bethel who inquired of Yahweh. They inquired from the spiritual leaders, the priests and the prophets. Ang tanong nila, will we continue to observe this religious custom, this fast, this mourning and weeping that we have been doing for many years? They ask, will we continue to do this traditional fast? Yung word na Bethel literally meant house of God. But this was not where the temple was built. Instead, Bethel was actually one of the 2 key cities where idolatrous worship was established. And it was during the time of Jeroboam I when he established Bethel and Dan to be the centers of idol worship. Now, in contrast to that dark past, Mark Bonas stresses in his commentary, there's a difference seen in the spiritual condition of the Jews, and it is indicated here because Bethel now sends a delegation to ask about a religious or spiritual matter, and they were now asking the religious leaders who are stationed in Jerusalem. So now, the people of Bethel look to the capital city for authority in regards to their spiritual lives. So this was a welcome change sa kanilang buhay. If indeed that Judah sought the full and proper restoration as God's people, nagkakaroon ng paghilom. And so their representatives named Sherezer and Rekem Melech in verse 2, they came to ask favor from Yahweh through the prophets and the priests. In verse 3. And given that the Jews had been observing fasts throughout the years of the exile, meron expectation Meron expectation that in some way, God would probably give His favor. God would probably give His approval in some form. And so they asked this question, should we continue to weep? Should we continue to abstain from food? They of course have expressed grief dahil sa mga past events, and this corresponds to the fall of Jerusalem in 586 BC and the murder of Villanueva, who was governor in Judah during that time. And so their concern was, will we continue to do this? Nare-restore na kami sa land na ito. The temple is at least halfway built. Malapit na matapos. And in the context of the Persian Empire, the expectation included full restoration of their political state, including their territory, the Davidic line of kings, and the continuation of temple worship, as it was in the days of Solomon. But in verse 4 to verse 7, instead there was given a reminder of authentic spirituality. This is how Yahweh answers the question of fasting. He gives another question. The word of the Lord of hosts came to Zechariah, say to all the people of the land and the priests, when you fasted and mourned in the 5th month and in the 7th, or these 70 years, was it for me that you fasted? Pinaka-importante yung last part of the question. Was it for me? Ginagawa niyo ba para sa akin yung pagpa-fasting ninyo for the past 70 years? So he does not answer the question. He doesn't answer their question on fasting just yet. We find an answer in chapter 8, but that's not the focus of our passage. But instead, he asks questions towards the more general audience of Zechariah's time. Sino ba nagtanong? Yung delegation from Bethel, Sherezer and Regem-Melech. But in Yahweh's question, he addresses the question to the more general public, to the people of the land. Verse 5, and to the priests. It was they who received the reply. And so yung issue does not involve only the people of Bethel anymore, but it involved all of the people that were present in Jerusalem during that time, which was representative to all the Jews who were back from exile. As to why this majority was called people of the land, Ralph Smith asserts that this would refer to the Jewish people who remained in the land, the poorest of the poor, habang in-exile yung mga cream of the crop papunta ng Babylon. These less than 20,000 people remained in the land of Judah, the poorest of the poor, because they could not stand on their own. They have no ability to lead their nation, and they were surrounded by other nations. Sila iniwan doon, tinira sila doon. And these people who witnessed the fall of Jerusalem, and even those who went into exile, they remembered that event. And this initiated a fast that they observed for 70 years. Pero ito, the question was also directed toward the priests, who were the spiritual leaders of the Jews. And this implies that they were also at fault, lest they think of themselves highly than the men of Bethel and even the rest of the Jerusalem people. They who have a greater responsibility in addressing this concern, because they were tasked with the spiritual leadership of God's people. So God's reply points them towards considering the authenticity of their practice, towards evaluating their observance of fasting and mourning. When they externally practiced it, were they truly motivated to do so because of God? Was Yahweh the reason for their observance? Kasi concern for the fulfillment of such practices and activities, pwede siya maging mere show, being elaborate, beautifully done, yet rendered empty on the inside. Richard Phillips comments on this, and he says, this is a serious matter. There can hardly be anything more dangerous than a false spirituality that tells us we are doing well when actually God is not pleased. And our religious practices, even of today, can be invested in the utmost effort, resources, and time. But without a right heart and standing before God, it would be done with hypocrisy and pretension. Pagpapanggap, pwede natin maging tendency mo. So whenever we pray or do our devotions, as we start this semester, Whenever we fulfill our ministry in our Christian service, or even perform our studies, in our work, and in our daily tasks, we also have that tendency to have that serve as illusions of being spiritual. But only a genuine reverence and love for God, a desire to do what truly honors and pleases Him, regardless of what others may say, is what God is looking for. In fact, yung fasting nila that they have observed may not have entirely lacked the consumption of food and drink, as indicated in verse 6. Nasabi sa verse 6, when you eat, when you drink, do you not eat and drink for yourselves? Pwede tayo maging casual sa isang tradisyon that we do. A religious tradition that can happen every year or every now and then. We can be over-familiar because yung purpose and significance of such activity has been determined by a past generation. Medyo remove tayo. Hindi natin masyado ini-embrace yung dahilan kung bakit natin ginagawa ang bagay-bagay. So maybe they would be fasting during the day, and after sunset, they would be feasting. I would recall a similar situation that we experienced during prayer day, although hindi pa yun in the near, it will be a few weeks after this week. But usually after the fast, there would be feasting. Nothing wrong with that, but the question is, have we really been fasting with all our hearts during the fast? It is likely that during the feasts of the Jews, especially if it included a long stretch of days, they partook of meals. And so the question was posed before them, did they not eat and drink for themselves? In fasting, could it be that their laments and prayers were done with anticipation of a selfish reason? Altogether, the motivation for fasting can be modeled by wanting to appear spiritual while doing that activity, but at the same time, actually craving to satisfy hunger in a few short while. So we should check ourselves, not only in regards to fasting. That's only one spiritual discipline. Whenever we invest our time in spiritual disciplines such as prayer, devotions, the question is, are we really after God? Are we really intent on communing with Him? Or are we after just the benefits? What are the benefits? Siyempre, kapag nagpe-pray ka, there would be the praise of man. Ang sabihin ng tao ay napaka-spiritual, napaka-prayerful naman ng tao ito. Inlove na inlove siya sa Panginoon. That would be the benefits. But our question is, and God poses this question, are we really doing it for Him? Sa biro nga naman, kahit kami nung estudyante kami, after fasting, fast eating. Kung anong finasting, morning and afternoon, triple naman yung kanin. Pagkatapos ng fasting. Di ba nakakaloko yun? Kaya nga may reminders dapat natin daw siya, gradual. Gradual na, May nag-advise nga dati, I recall it, soup daw muna. After a fast, don't eat a bulk meal right away. Unti-untiin mo. Kasi it also reminds us that whenever we do spiritual activities, whenever we do spiritual disciplines, nandun ka dapat, you should be 100% there, focused on who is the person that you are talking with. And that is none other than God. So sometimes there's a tendency to join ministry activities, but we have a wrong motive. But as we are growing in His Word and in His work, our motivation must be clearer. To be after God Himself. And that's authentic spirituality. Zechariah continues to remind the people of Judah. Verse 7. Were not these the words that the Lord proclaimed by the former prophets? When Jerusalem was inhabited and prosperous, with her cities around her, and the south and the lowland were inhabited. The prophet himself draws on content available through the earlier prophets. And even during the fruitful years of the nation, the call had been for God's people to be faithful to Him. And when they departed from His commands, they sought other gods and lived opposite to Yahweh's set life and direction for them. He continued to call them to return to Him. His word to the prophets reiterated this, that God's people should commit to live in obedience to Him. And so from verse 8 to verse 10, we see here the call of the prophet to justice and to mercy. Verse 8 reads, And the word of the Lord came to Zechariah, saying, verse 9, Thus says the Lord of hosts, render true judgments, show kindness and mercy to one another. Verse 10, Do not oppress the widow, the fatherless, the sojourner, or the poor, and let none of you devise evil against another in your heart. And so Yahweh calls His people to the expected outcome of authentic spirituality. Kung intent sila on returning to God, there was a way of life that was appropriate and was consistent to His reign in their lives. He directs them away from dichotomizing religion and practice, which is also our tendency. We tend to separate spiritual things from our daily life. And He directs them towards true spirituality, which is obedience to the Torah, living out His word in their lives, and even in their community. And in that sense, sabi nga ni Villanueva writes that it was another fasting that Yahweh required. It was not abstaining from food that God required, but it was abstaining from sin. And Webb further presents that this may be Zechariah's allusion to the words of the prophet Isaiah. In Isaiah 58, verse 6 to 7, the prophet says, Is not this the fast that I choose, to loose the bonds of wickedness, to undo the straps of the yoke, to let the oppressed go free, and to break every yoke? Verse 7, Is it not to share your bread with the hungry, and bring the homeless poor into your house? When you see the naked, to cover him, and not to hide yourself from your own flesh. Here's the point. How can we claim that we love and obey God if we cannot even love and serve the people beside us? The people of God had much to change in their ways. And God spells out imperatives that His people should live out. And these were in relation to others. Hindi ito mga bagong instructions, because it actually hailed back to the commands given already in the Torah. Verse 9, it says, Render true judgments, and this can be literally translated as judge with true justice. Parang redundant, but it is consistent with the very nature of Yahweh, as He Himself dispenses judgment, righteous judgment throughout the history of Israel. So to render true judgments, maybe what is in mind is the fair judicial process. But if it is confined only to those who are in official capacities of leadership, the passage would not need to be addressed to the community. So, the point is, this should cascade down to the most basic units of the community. Attention must be given as to how the people of God interact with each other on a daily basis. In their homes, within their within the community, and how they conduct everyday business. Zechariah draws out these imperatives from earlier prophets. Sabi nga ni Jeremiah 22 verse 3, do justice and righteousness and deliver from the hand of the oppressor him who has been robbed. And do no wrong or violence to the resident alien, the fatherless, the widow, nor shed innocent blood in this place. Micah 6:8 also says, He has told you, O man, what is good. What does the Lord require of you but to do justice, to love kindness, to walk humbly with your God. In our time today, in the way that we look and deal with our neighbor, and who are our neighbors today. Diba yung dormmates natin, yung co-ministers natin sa CS, sa church, and even here sa Febias. The question is, do we treat each other in a manner that reflects fairness and justice? Do we look at our neighbor with value that comes from God? Do we respect people regardless of their status or situation in life? O mapamata tayo, mapahusga. Ay, hindi ko katulad yung tao yan. Hindi ko ka-level. But again, there's another imperative. Still in verse 9, Yahweh tells them, show kindness and mercy to one another. The nature and perfect example again of these two are found in Yahweh Himself. This was revealed throughout His dealings with Israel. This was celebrated in the Psalms. And this was repeatedly declared by the prophets themselves. And the phrase's object is one another. Show kindness and mercy to one another, which further amplifies that kindness and mercy is expected already towards those who are in fact brethren. And the reality was, even if people were related to one another, the act of mercy and kindness needed to be instructed, needed to be reiterated. Kasi kahit kapatid mo na, kahit kamag-anak mo na, challenge pa rin pala na maging kind and merciful. Another imperative in verse 10, do not oppress the widow, the fatherless, the sojourner, or the poor. There's an ethics of the covenant people required here. Do not rob, do not take advantage of others. Do not cheat others. And specifically those who are weak, people who are mentioned here, are those who do not have the ability or who lack the ability to provide for or to defend themselves. Those who do not have any inheritance or possessions. Those who were strong and able were to help those who were weak. Not belittle them, not to cast them down further. Since they are unable to supply for their needs, by their own means, the people of God were given instructions so that they may be provided for in different ways. Makikita natin ito, maging sa Pentateuch laws concerning the Sabbath, the day of rest, it included everyone in the household, together with the slaves and the aliens. Hindi lang yung mga amo ang dapat na may pahinga, pati lahat na nasa household nila. During the harvest time, the people were instructed to leave the edges of the fields for the poor and for the alien to gather later as their sustenance. We find that in Leviticus 19. Even the olive trees and the grapevines were not to be taken from twice for the benefit of orphans and widows. Deuteronomy 24. They were to lend money and to take pledges for payment without adding interest. Exodus 22. And so the message of the command was clear. From Exodus 22, 21 to 22, it echoes here. You shall not wrong a sojourner or a traveler or oppress him, for you were sojourners in the land of Egypt. You shall not mistreat any widow or fatherless child. Sa community ba natin dito sa Febias, who are those who are weak? And who are those who are needy? In the same fashion of Zechariah, let me ask questions. Do we see them? Do we mind them? What does our passage say that we should do in relation to those who are weak in our community? Do we ignore their situation, or do we ignore them altogether? If God has given you the means to help your brother, your sister, in a way that is possible, in a way that is allowable, aren't we part of God's answer to them? To lift them up. Do not oppress. Another imperative in verse 10. Let none of you devise evil against another in your heart. Ralph Smith, in his commentary, writes that the source of injustice towards the marginalized in society is the real condition of man's heart. And that is the spiritual condition of being sinful. How one treats other people is a manifestation of the root problem within us. The root problem, sin. And again, this was expected of God's people. To not devise evil against one another in their hearts. As they worship Yahweh, as they serve Him, as they observe fasts and sacrifice before God, their lives were to intertwine spirituality with everyday life. Sabi naman ni Christopher J.H. Wright, serving God and caring for other people are inseparably bound together. God will not be worshipped acceptably by those who neglect justice and compassion. And it would be contrary to God's act of redeeming His people from slavery, from sin, if His own chosen people would commit another version of slavery towards their own. Let not any one of us devise evil against one another in our hearts. Towards the end of the passage in Zechariah 7, Yahweh gives in verse 11, 14, a review of the consequence that they encountered, that they experienced in the past. Hindi dapat kalimutan yun nangyari na 70-year exile. If they would not return to Him and live accordingly, He reminded them of what happened. Verse 11, they refused to pay attention and turned a stubborn shoulder and stopped their ears that they might not hear. They made their hearts diamond hard, lest they should hear the law and the words that the Lord of hosts had sent by His Spirit to the former prophets. And therefore great anger came from the Lord of hosts, verse 13, as I called, and they would not hear, so they called, and I would not hear, says the Lord of hosts. And I scattered them with a whirlwind among all the nations that they had not known. Thus the land they left was desolate, so that no one went to and fro, and the pleasant land was made desolate. As shown as a progression of thought, verse 11 to 14, the choices of the past generation to not give attention to Yahweh and the Word of God. It outlines the downward spiral. Una-una, they refused the prophets. They refused God's messengers. Then they refused to take responsibility for what they knew and what they heard. And then they continued to refuse to listen. And then lastly, they refused God's Word in their hearts. Internal. Even as He has sent His Spirit from the former prophets. And because Israel became stubborn and sinned against Yahweh in His perfect justice, And yet also, in His great mercy, para po nagkukontra, pero in His perfect justice and also in His great mercy, He disciplined them by dispersing them from the land, only to further humble them and lead them back to Him, back to dependence and surrender to Him. Alam naman natin, in our history of the Old Testament, it was not a dead end for them. They were not a dispersed people for so long. They were not a broken land for so long, although hindi pa completely fulfilled that God would have restored all His people. In God's sovereignty, He allowed His people to see the inability to live according to His justice, mercy, and compassion. Towards the end of Zechariah's generation, the focus shifts from their pursuit of spirituality towards God's pursuit of them to be renewed. Generations after, it was God who pursued man in the person and work of Jesus Christ. That in His redeeming work, the inability of God's people to live out His words is met with His sacrifice that provides the favor that His people have been needing from the beginning. And this gives God's people the ability then to live according to His word. Yahweh's restoration of His people here in Zechariah 7 is in the direction of restoring them to authentic spirituality. And the point is, this should translate into real life obedience towards Him. But this also comes as hearts are transformed. Our hearts, as we allow ourselves to be transformed by His Spirit and His Word from the inside out. As we give attention, as we listen, and as we allow His Word to transform us and take control of our lives. How about you? Today, in our time, are you allowing God's Word to seep into your life? Are you allowing Him to take charge even with how you deal with others? Are you allowing it to saturate your life and change you inside out? Let's continue to allow the Lord to minister to us as we have heard from His Word. Let's close with this time of meditation and reflecting. God has been faithful. God has been showing His love to us. Not only in the past year, but throughout our lives. God has been there, showing you, guiding you through His Word. The question is, are you allowing Him to change you, to transform you? Are you seeking Him? And are you allowing your life to be consistent with His words? Father, we thank You for allowing us to meditate upon these words from Your prophet, from You yourself. Thank You, Lord God, for reminding us to come back to You, to go back to You in all that we do, in all our activities, even here in Febias, as we are trained, as we continue to serve You, Lord. May our intent be truly to find You, to know you more. And may that reflect consistently in our lives, even with how we relate with one another in our community, and even outside. We thank you, Lord. This we pray in Jesus' name.